today I can jab an injection or take a pill and lose weight, right? That begs the question, why do I need a fitness coach like you? And in fact, when the drugs first arrived, fitness coaches, dietitians, nutritionists, even bariatric surgeons seemed to be alarmed, and their quotes were all over the media warning people against these drugs, right? You could see that they are seeing their business go away. As a fitness coach, what do you think of the impact of GLP-1 in your work, among your clients, and for you?
It's a great question. Thank you for asking that. And the reason Doctor and I are laughing is because we've discussed this in an interview before. It's interesting, right? Because a lot of people, when they look at something like a GLP-1 drug, they think it is instead of lifestyle changes, instead of movement and nutrition. What we need to remember that this is something that needs to be done in addition to movement and nutrition. Okay? It doesn't replace that. Now let's go back a couple of minutes, right? Doctor explained why exactly he cares about weight loss as an endocrinologist, right? And he spoke about a lot of NCDs, non-communicable disease, and a lot of chronic diseases that we're talking about. What you want to realize and remember is that the cause of weight gain and the cause of most of these NCDs are the same. It comes from a broken lifestyle. Nutrition not being what it needs to be, movement not being enough, sleep not being sufficient. That is what is the crux of the issue. And the issue, the outcome of that issue is it could be weight gain for some, it could be diabetes for some, it could be blood pressure for some, it could be different things. But at the end of the day, it is the same actions, our behaviors, that is what is causing this. Now, like I said at the start, we have to do many things to improve our lifestyle, okay? So if you're talking about not just weight loss, if you're talking about health in general, you have to do 6 things, right? Eat well, eat less, move regularly, exercise often, sleep enough, and manage your stress. Out of these 6 things, the drug helps you do one thing, which is basically the eating less part. The eating well, exercising, moving, sleeping is still on you. And here's something to remember to your question, Shivam, about the fitness coaching side of it. I like to think of this as, we have a problem. You have cops on the job. Cops were not able to fix it, so we're calling the military now. The doctors have to come in and say, hey, you know what? This is getting out of hand, so we have to use medication also. So fitness coaches, nutrition coaches have to realize that both sides have a significant impact here. Both of us have to play a significant role. And this revolution is a great time because this is a time when preventative medicine, lifestyle changes, and the medical establishment are coming together to solve a problem that we don't know how to solve.
Right.
So I'll give you one example. I mean, it's not unusual to have patients come and complain about this. So there was this guy who came in who's very happy. Mr. Agarwal was really happy. He'd lost 12 kg. He never thought he'd do that. He was on GLP-1 drugs. And he said, now it's really cool. Doc, I don't have to exercise anymore. And in any case, I can't eat because the drug doesn't let me eat. So everything is perfect in my life. So I said, but actually, no, if you're not exercising, well, you're on these drugs, it's not a great idea. You lose a lot of muscle, and your health will not improve the way it should. So it came like a shock. But then what's the point? What's the point of these drugs? So I'm just saying that we have to think of these medications as part of a program, as part of our weight management plan, as part of our weight management journey, and not standalone molecules.
Right, so but on that note, can you talk a little more about the problem of muscle mass? Because when you're fat, you're thinking all the time of losing fat. It's only when you lose fat that you realize the importance of muscle.
I guess the biggest point of discussion amongst endocrinologists and people, physicians, is the fact that how do we prevent the muscle loss that happens with the widespread use of GLP-1? And that's the key question, and I'm sure many of you have that question in your minds. So the fundamental thing to understand is that these drugs do not act on the muscle to produce muscle loss. Muscle loss is part of any weight loss. So the first thing we need to get away from our heads is, oh, this drug is causing muscle loss. No, it isn't. It's the weight loss that is causing muscle loss. So, and that's important. All the studies on muscle and drugs have actually shown either neutral or beneficial effects. So when people lose weight, through a very drastic diet, maybe 800 calorie diet. People do those kind of things, 1,000. Even then they shrink. Even then they lose muscle. When people undergo bariatric surgery, they lose muscle. So roughly 25–30% of the weight you lose is muscle. Okay, which means that if you lose 10 kilograms, you've lost 2 to 2.5 kg, maybe even 3 kg of muscle. A lot of this can be prevented by interventions right from the beginning. And that's exactly where, partnering with or involving people who are experts in exercise, people who are experts in physical activity,
Right.
they step in. But it's not just that.
But to ask a question that might sound stupid, why do we need muscle?
Why?
Why do we need muscle? Like,
Oh, yes.
because it's...
Again, it's a good point. It's a great point. Yeah, because people think, you need muscles to be like a film star or something, or be like Raj. He's a perfect example. But we do need muscle. Of course, we need muscle for locomotion, right? That's basic. If your muscle mass drops, your risk of falling increases as you get older. If your muscle mass drops, it sends stimuli to the bone. The bone also becomes weaker. So it's not just risk of falling. It's the weakness of the bone that happens with the muscle. And to top it all, in the metabolic space, if you have lower muscle mass, your insulin resistance also goes up. So to improve your health, to improve your diabetes, improve your overall metabolic health, you can't just have less fat. You need to balance it out with maintained or increased muscle. Otherwise, you will get into a condition called sarcopenic obesity, which is not uncommon in Indians. What do we mean? Obesity means excess weight. We all know that. And sarco is muscle, so sarcopenia means lack of muscle. So you're looking overweight and obese, but your muscle mass is low.
Typical Indian skinny fat look is...
Yes,
that. And that's where Raj comes in. Raj, I believe you have at least some clients now who are also in GLP-1. And how do you, what is their experience like when you work with them? Give me a sense of what it's like for the medicine and the fitness training coming together.
Yeah. See, I want to add a couple of points to what the doctor said, right? See, when we're talking about muscle, yes, we're talking about usage of muscle, but we also have to remember that muscle is metabolically active. Okay? And visceral fat, which is fat around your organs, are also metabolically active. These things actively contribute towards your metabolism. Now, if you're talking about weight loss and weight management, you have something called your basal metabolic rate. That is the amount of calories you're burning when you're not exercising, when you're just sitting and chilling like this. Now, this basal metabolic rate is higher when you have more muscle, and it is lower when you have less muscle. So someone who has more muscle is burning more calories even when they are at rest. Why is this important? Because the more calories you burn, the easier it is for you to manage your weight in the long term. The lesser muscle you have, the harder it will be for you to manage your weight. So the lesser muscle you have, the more fat you will gain. It's a vicious cycle, keeps adding up. So when you're talking about any kind of weight loss, do keep in mind that the reason there is muscle loss when you have weight loss is physiological. When your body is trying to lose weight, it is trying to get rid of whatever it is that you're not using. Okay? Fat, obviously, water, obviously, but if you're not using your muscles, it's going to be getting rid of that also. Now, at what rate does it get rid of? That's what you want to remember. As a general rule, greed is a problem, okay? I think you'll all agree, right? And what I mean by greed here is we're all thinking, how quickly can I lose weight? How fast can I do this? The faster you lose weight, the more muscle you will lose. And here's some statistics, right? If you're going to go for a rapid weight loss program, GLP-1 or not, doesn't matter. Again, like doctor said, the drug is not responsible for muscle loss. The rate of weight loss is what is responsible for muscle loss. So let's say you're going on a rapid weight loss program, you're losing about 10 kilos in 3 months or 15 kilos in 3 months. You're losing a lot of weight. I guarantee you, anywhere from 40 to 60% of your weight loss will be muscle loss. And that is a dangerous number, which means out of 10 kilos, 6 kilos you've lost muscle. And muscle is like gold. You don't want to lose it. It's so hard to build it back again. And when you gain all the weight back, what do you think happens? You don't gain the muscle back. You replace it with fats. But here's the thing. If you lose weight slowly, then the rate of muscle loss is much lesser. Without GLP-1 or with GLP-1, I've worked with clients who've lost more than 10, 15 kilos, for whom over 90% of the weight lost was fat, minimal muscle loss. So as a general rule, you want to remember, if you can focus on slow weight loss, and what is slow weight loss? Anywhere from 0.5 to 1.5% of your body weight every week. If you can lose weight at that rate, your risk of losing muscle is much lesser. In fact, even with Ozempic, or semaglutide or tirzepatide, when you're talking about 20 to 25% of body weight lost, it's 20 to 25% of body weight lost in 52 to 60 weeks over a course of a year. So even the weight loss drug or skinny shot or fat jab, whatever they call it, is meant to help you lose in a slow and steady manner. But what you need to add to this, two things. In fact, three things, right? One is protein. You have to eat enough protein. The second one is you have to strength train. And when I'm saying strength training, we're not talking about lifting hundreds of kilos. We're talking about stimulating and strengthening your muscles. You can do this with body weight, you can do it with the resistance band, but you have to stimulate your muscles. And you have to get enough sleep. So if you get enough protein, enough strength work, and enough sleep, your risk of muscle loss is very, very, very less.
So we actually, Shivam, have started prescribing exercise. Not just saying, yeah, you must exercise. We actually prescribe with the advent of these drugs. When people are losing so much weight that they're losing muscle also, we give a prescription now that so many times a week, this much,
Right.
the whole thing.
But doctors used to earlier focus on cardio. Now you're talking about strength training. That's also a shift
Both.
in the
You
medical.
need to do both, but yeah, you can't ignore strength training. Strength training is not part of our culture in general. Indians are walkers and yoga enthusiasts. They're not into weights and all. So the emphasis that if you're going to lose weight fast, if you're going to lose weight, period, or actually even not, even if you're not,
So,
some amount of strength training is important.